Ruselli Northern supports upstate New York construction with over 400 employees, 250 trucks, 9 ready-mix plants, 4 blacktop plants, and 40 aggregate mines. But their most important number is your bottom line. Contact them today to see why Ruselli Northern has been the choice for contractors and project managers across upstate New York since 1929.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome into Bills Weekly here on FingerLakes1.com. I am Paul Russo, joined as always by Jim Sinicropi and Kyle Evans. It's a Victory Tuesday, not a Victory Monday, but we'll take them as we can get them, as the Buffalo Bills able to retain sole possession of first place in the AFC East, defeating the Jets 23-20 on Monday Night Football. Plenty to get to. So we talked a little bit off air, and maybe not the greatest of wins, but you'll take them as you can get them in the NFL. Let's kind of jump into this, guys. Overall, right, you take the win as they come. Not going to sit here and complain. Josh Allen, I thought, kind of played the game that they really needed him to. It'd been a rough couple of weeks for him, and number 17 looked at least like, I'd say, the number 17 from the first 3 weeks of the year.
Yeah, I mean, he played a clean game again, which is most important. Still hasn't thrown an interception. I think he was 19 for 25 passing, so the few that did go incomplete, he was kind of just throwing it away for the most part. And then it was the Ray Davis show, showing up for the injured James Cook, and mixed in with a lot of penalties. And, we even had a Hail Mary before halftime. I just thought there was a lot going on last night, but in the end, the Bills came away and won, how about this, a one-score game, which they usually don't under Sean McDermott.
Yeah, I kind of want to get to him too here in a minute, but kind of crazy that not only Ray Davis, who was a late, well, at least to the public, a late first stringer for the Bills, but led rushing and led receiving for the Bills last night. Kind of crazy for Ray Davis, the rookie.
Yeah, it was nice to see Ray Davis step up. You see that a lot in the NFL, though, when somebody's hurt and the backups do have big games. It seems like you can plug anybody in the running back spot nowadays in the NFL. But overall, I didn't think the Bills were going to win this game. They haven't won on the road against the Jets since 2021. They were banged up. I guess the Jets were a little bit too, but can't say enough about what a big win this was. Instead of being tied with the Jets at 3-3 atop the AFC, they're now 2 games clear of the Jets and the rest of the division, which looks like crap. I mean, they've really set themselves up now, coming off those 2 straight losses the past 2 weeks now to, be in the position of strength, not only in the AFC East, but in the AFC. So, it was a good win. I'm sure we're going to talk about plenty of the things the rest of this episode that the Bills need to do to become true Super Bowl contenders. Mm-hmm. But as it stands right now through week 6 of the season, you got to be happy if you're a Bills fan and where they are.
Yeah, we kind of said it last week to a degree, right? Depending upon how the outcome of this game went, it's probably going to really shift the conversation we were probably going to have this week on the podcast. So in the grand scheme of it, right, more positive than negative. You kind of said it, though, Jim. That being said, and as we've mentioned, there were some pretty glaring issues in the game last night that certainly reared its head, stuff we've talked about in the past. I don't know which way I kind of want to go first here. I think the easiest one, in all honesty, might be Sean McDermott with a couple of decisions, obviously, time management-wise. We saw, again, Tyler Bass have a couple issues. Don't know fully the wind causing
it was windy,
one.
But the wind didn't keep that extra point
Yeah,
out.
that's
one of the
what
worst
I'm
kicks ever. So
exactly.
That's definitely a negative. We talk about Taylor Bass a lot on this show, and last night didn't help his cause.
And I think again, not that there's anything wrong with having a running back be your leading receiver. That shouldn't be the case multiple times in the season, and we're back to talking again about the receiving core a little bit.
Talk about the receivers.
I think we should kind of jump in maybe right there and kind of.
Yeah, my take is that they're just not very good, and without Khalil Shakir, who was obviously not 100% last night and wasn't out there a lot, he's the only reliable receiver on the roster. You saw Curtis Samuel drop a touchdown pass. I don't know why Troy Aikman said that it was overthrown. I mean, that's a pass that NFL receivers got to catch, right?
It looked like he was twisting kind of the wrong way and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just run a better route. You're a wide receiver in the NFL.
And at the very least, catch the ball when it hits you in the hands. And then you saw other plays where, like, Mac Hollins didn't come off, didn't run his route in the best way to create the most space. It should have been an easy touchdown. Instead, he kind of went straight up the field when he got to the end zone instead of, like, Troy Aikman again said, he's got to come out flat to create more space. It would have been an easy touchdown. Keon Coleman, non-factor again, had a chance to make a play on a deep ball on the sideline. So I don't know what's up with this wide receiving core, but Ray Davis, the leading wide receiver with 55 yards. It's amazing that they won that game, I suppose. It was just an ugly game with a lot of penalties, and the Bills could have lost that game if things went a little different down the stretch. But to me, the biggest thing that's keeping the Buffalo Bills from being a true Super Bowl contender is the subpar wide receiving core.
Yeah, Kyle, before I toss it to you, should probably preface, right? Kincaid had the most receptions and the most targets. That being said,
He was good.
That being said, though, it shouldn't be your running back getting the most receiving yards by any means. I know it came from one chunk play, but I remember saying last night, I was watching with some friends, and look, I'm not saying the Kincaid and Knox duo by any means are, say, the Gronkowski-Hernandez duo that the Patriots had for a couple years. It just kind of shocks me that we don't see more sets where you have both of them out there.
Early on, it seemed like they were using both of them. Kincaid set the tone early with one of his first catches where he bowled over the DB for the Jets. But, yeah, as the game went on, they weren't really a focal point, I guess. And when you have wide receivers who aren't getting open and aren't making plays, then you think that maybe we would have seen Dalton Kincaid lead the team in receiving last night. Knox got a touchdown. He became like the fourth Bills tight end in history to have 2,000 total yards. I can't remember the other guys. Pete Metzelaars was one of them. The Bills not known for their great wide tight ends through the years, but
It was also a different game, to be fair.
yeah, no doubt. But that was a bright spot. I thought the tight ends, it just wasn't kind of sustained through the end, and when they needed some big plays, they didn't really go to them. I don't know. The passing game was really suspect last night.
Yeah, and what I find questionable is why do they seem like they're always trying to give Mac Hollins tons of targets and make him like the biggest part of the passing game when he's only on a 1-year deal, and you look at Keon Coleman, a rookie, why is he not getting more opportunities? And they paid Curtis Samuel all that money.
Yeah, he's
And
terrible.
they can't find a way to use him and have him be successful. I mean, they finally took shots at him down the field, but as you said, he couldn't haul in the touchdown. And then they did try to run like another screen with him, and it got blown up.
Yeah.
So I don't really get the usage that they're doing with these guys, and then not targeting like Kincaid more, when Kincaid was pretty good down the stretch last year.
So similar to how San Francisco will use George Kittle.
Yeah.
I think Kincaid's is talented and is like George Kittle, but he to me, he's the number one wide receiver on the field last night for the Bills. And even though he's a tight end, he's the number one receiving target option for Allen, and he should have had an 80-yard night.
Yeah, he's got, I think, the best catch percentage right now. Among the receivers too. I mean, there's a reason Mac Hollins hasn't found a home consistently in the NFL. I mean, the guys have been bounced around all over.
I like him. I like Hollins as like a wide receiver 4.
Yeah. They're treating him like a number 1 or even a number 2, and it's like, what? Why does he need to be so involved?
Yeah, it's just amazing to me how important Shakir is to this team now at this point. Hopefully, next week against Tennessee, he'll be back to 100%, and you'll see he'll have close to 100 yards and maybe a touchdown or two, and it should open up the Bills' offense and also open up a little bit more for some of the other wide receivers. But when he's not on the field, the offense is she's just not really even in the top half of NFL teams.
And to me, that's saying something because, look, we were talking just a couple weeks ago that as great as he has been, he is not a wide receiver one. That's just not his build. That's not his archetype.
He's a
right?
Puka Nacua type, like, you know.
Right, but he would fit better in, and we saw that even last year. He fits better in as like the wide receiver two, not the wide receiver one.
Yeah, more of he's a slot guy. But for whatever reason, he runs routes crisply, and he knows how to find the soft spot in the defenses on big, third down plays. Nobody else on this Bills offense seems to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'm just saying from, I think, why you see some of these guys get more targets than maybe they should, And I think, too, that kind of boils into maybe my next question I want to bring up here is the play calling to a degree. For as good as Joe Brady kind of has turned this offense around in a calendar year, some of the stuff does make me kind of scratch my head. Like there's last night, kind of saw a little bit. There was a weird infatuation with screens going on again. It's not gonna really work against a defense, especially like the Jets, where it's one of the top defenses in the league. They're gonna kind of sit on it once they see it once or twice. It kind of seemed like they were trying to go back to that. And if this was, say, Curtis Samuel, for example, 3 years ago, sure. He would still have the speed that I think you could do it. It's just not there anymore. And I'm kind of wondering, like, I know he's a rookie and I get it, but like, Keon Coleman's got to take a step at some point, right? We got to see stuff we've been talking about. Like, something's got to break here, whether they go out and the NFL trade market's always kind of weird. We don't, the trade deadline in the NFL is a relatively non-existent news topic in the grand scheme of it. But if you're the Bills, you got to be trying to figure something out here, I think, within the next couple of weeks.
Get somebody from the Jags? Get Christian Kirk? Is he available? Devontae Adams has been floated
Calvin
out.
Ridley from Tennessee.
Calvin Ridley, although he has been like non-existent.
He's miserable.
For a couple of years. I don't know if it's him or just the system he's in.
I think it's the system because he had a nice bounce back here last year in Jacksonville. My main thing, like I'm saying, I look at it and like I don't know if it solves a long-term issue, but it could solve an issue for at least the immediate going out and maybe getting somebody like that where the emphasis doesn't fall on just one guy at that point. It kind of gets spread out more evenly for a defense to game plan against. For an offense, it makes it easier to game plan. It's one of those things where, like you said, Jim, like the Bills are probably a wind gust away from losing that game, frankly, last night, right? And we're having a different conversation here today than we are.
Well, remember, they actually did score with 9 minutes to go. Braylon Allen, got taken back from a hold, and then they missed their second field goal.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of opportunities where the Jets, could have, grabbed the lead and held on, but they just never could. And what is this, a third straight game where Aaron Rodgers was unable to lead them on either a game-tying drive or a game-winning drive at the end of the fourth quarter?
It seemed like they were going to – I felt like that game was going to go to overtime. The refs, I think, helped out a little bit both ways, but probably helped the Bills a little more than the Jets. But also remember they had a Hail Mary at the end of the first half. If they didn't, they might not have even been close had they not. That was one of the Jets' 2 touchdowns.
Not to interrupt, but not that it makes a difference here in this sense. Breaking NFL news.
Oh, yeah?
It's Reddick, isn't it?
Officially, Devontae Adams traded to the Jets for a third-round pick.
Oh, good thing it's 1 week later than, but that's not good news for the Bills. They'll have to play him again and maybe, but why couldn't the Bills get Devontae Adams? I mean, the Jets already got Garrett Wilson. I mean, if the Bills had Garrett Wilson or Devontae Adams, a player of that caliber, they need it more than the Jets.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially if it's a third-round pick, that kind of tells me I think he was more attainable for more teams than meets the eye, that's for sure.
Real quick, too, sidebar.
Yes.
I was really impressed with ESPN or ABC, whoever mans that broadcast for Monday Night Football last night, that they had a package of Aaron Rodgers Hail Marys ready to go.
Yeah.
And they drop it in the end of the first half, which I'm sure they weren't planning on doing. I don't know, but like it's crazy the quality of some of these broadcasts. To have that package ready to go, and then to show it, and then to have Rodgers complete another Hail Mary. I mean, that was just a stroke of genius by the broadcast crew. I thought for ESPN. I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
I noticed it. I'm like, wow, they have this Hail Mary package for Aaron Rodgers ready to show, right now. And then sure enough, he throws another one. It was pretty cool, I thought. But nonetheless, that was just a sidebar.
Eisner had the script.
Yep, it might be, right.
They probably thought they were going to have to use it at the end of the fourth quarter.
That's what I was thinking,
like
too.
A few seconds, Jets trailing. They're not in field goal range, no timeouts. They got to take a shot. And
they recognized that and used it, because I still at that point I was thinking that they might try to get into field goal range rather than but boy, that was a game changer. The Bills would have been up.
And 4 guys around Allen Lazard, who's not the biggest of wide receivers.
Yeah, somebody's got to knock that down.
Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins a few years ago, I guess you could make an argument for that happening because he's so huge and lengthy, but Allen Lazard of all people over Taylor Rapp, who actually played really well.
I'll say Rapp had a career game for himself
Big
yesterday.
pass breakups.
He saved the game for
Stopped
him.
Garrett Wilson in the end zone. I mean, he was good all night, and then that play happened.
Yeah, but that one, I get the maybe blame towards Rapp, but at the same token, like Jim, I think you said perfectly. Someone at that point, because there were more blue jerseys down there than white. Somebody's just got to bat it down at that point,
right?
So of course it was Allen Lazard once again. I mean, just Rodgers and his Green Bay love affair from 2012.
He has Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and is he going to throw to Lazard much anymore? Because he's got so much weapons now.
It might be too much. I mean, like, is Garrett Wilson happy that Devontae Adams is coming to town?
Probably not.
Right.
Is Breece Hall and Braylon Allen happy that this guy's coming in? Because they finally got discovered yesterday in the play calling a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, Mike Williams was terrible.
Yeah.
For
Aaron Rodgers will tell you.
Another weapon. I mean, man.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the Bills are like throwing the ball to Curtis Samuel.
Matt Collins.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, it's one of those things where, like I said, I don't know who you can go out and get, but
they could have got Devontae Adams.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But like, you got to go and get somebody.
They did in the offseason. I mean, didn't they in the offseason, we were kind of waiting. Okay, they lost Diggs. Right. Let's see what they do. Oh, they signed Curtis Samuel. Awesome. And then you're like, all right, maybe they know something about Curtis Samuel we don't. Nope, he's terrible.
We should have known they took Keon Coleman with their first draft pick.
Yeah, but I thought that. So I was like, all right, here's a new, he might be rookie of the year type of guy. Josh Allen's number one guy. Nope, he's barely a factor.
Wow. All right, let's get into a couple more things here. Defense, overall, again, really, really good. Yeah. All things considered, again. We mentioned Taylor Rapp, Taron Johnson, who also had the game-sealing interception.
Esperanza had a nice bounce-back game.
Yeah, he also was part of even what Rodgers called a non-roughing the passer penalty, which kind of, I think, summed up a lot of people's opinions of the game in general. But yeah, Panessa, another really great game as well. And it kind of, again, summarizes a little bit of what this team's kind of going through, right? Still trying to figure out guys health-wise, and lo and behold, just some of these guys coming up and being clutch when it matters most.
Yeah, A.J. Panessa had 2 sacks. Should have had 3. Like you said, the roughing the passer was ridiculous. But I thought it was cool that Rodgers actually apparently told him on the field too. Came up to him and told him it wasn't roughing the passer. And then, Taron Johnson was huge, obviously, not just with the pick, but, just having him back in the lineup. You can just see him and Bernard and Taylor Rapp, just having those 3 back makes a difference, and you're not really relying on, so many of those other backups. I will say, though, Damar Hamlin's starting to struggle. You could see last night, I know the Jets have a lot of weapons, but Damar's starting to struggle a little bit, so he needs to pick it up, or else he might lose his starting job.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's also is that probably the best core he's faced yet? Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know. Houston last week.
yeah,
That's true.
Baltimore the week before. Miami.
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. You could just tell he was struggling. A lot of space in front of him.
Yeah.
Not defending well. Not Taylor Rapp, that's for sure.
That's true. I thought Russell Douglas, too, had a pretty good game. I know stat-wise he's a little bit down the list in terms of tackling, but a couple really big moments that he stepped up as well last night.
We shouldn't be talking about the defense right now. They allowed 20 points last night. If against this, if you're the Bills and you can say we're going to hold every team to 20, they should be undefeated, right?
Right, yeah.
Now, that being said, it didn't hold true the last couple weeks where the Bills only scored 10 points. So the Bills have scored 43 points in the last 3 weeks after scoring, 115 the first 3 games?
Yeah.
What's the one difference? Khalil Shakir.
Well, yeah.
I'm telling you, he is the catalyst for this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to give some roses here because we're in the middle of what is, like I said, it's a win, but we're doing a lot of dissecting here. I guess next, numerically down the list, special teams, Tyler Bass kind of mentioned it. Look, I don't know. He's a good kicker. I don't want to dismiss it, but like eventually one of these missed, whether it's extra points or field goals, is gonna rear its head at the wrong time.
I guess Joe Buck, I think, said it best after that extra point. It was a really good quote. He said, "You see better kicks than that on College game day."
Yeah.
Meaning, the Pat McAfee where they bring people out that never kicked.
Yeah.
I mean, that extra point was like ridiculous. It wasn't a bad snap. You're an NFL kicker. I mean, that 1 point, obviously could have come into play with the Bills winning by 3. They should have been up 4 at the end, not 3. You can't, jeez. It wasn't blocked. It wasn't tipped. It didn't hit the goalpost. It was like the worst kick you'll see all year from an NFL kicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's 8 for 11 on the year, but all 3 of those misses are between 40 and 49 yards. So,
Which are gimmies.
yeah, you're an NFL kicker. You got to hit those. Last night was from 47. I get it. The win was a factor, but you got to make it. We've seen worse win and people make it. So thankfully, the game-winning kick that he ended up having was a 22-yarder.
Yeah.
If it had been mid-40s,
shorter than an extra point.
Yeah, if it had been mid-40s, I don't know if he would have made it. Honestly, his confidence was probably already shot. So thankfully, they found a way to get him the game winner.
And I know, Kyle, you off-air brought up a good point. It's weird talking about it in this sense because it is a kicker, right? But he's under contract for a few years here. There would be some sort of de facto cap hit. But to me, you got to bring somebody in this week to at least work out. Like I don't know. My first call would be Mason Crosby. He's available. I know he's old, but like he is one of the better kickers of the past 15 years. I'd at least be making a phone call to him, asking if he wanted to come out and work out, at least put some sort of fire underneath Tyler Bass, right, to maybe figure this out.
Well, here's 3 names I found this morning. Brandon McManus, Randy Bullock, and Riley Patterson. Those are the 3 that are on Spot Track that are free agents right now. 2 of them are in their 30s. I guess age doesn't really matter with kickers because we've seen old kickers make a lot of field goals before. But
Bringing Gary Anderson.
I was about to say more.
I'm not sure. I told you this off air. I don't know if these kickers would necessarily be better. There's a reason they don't have jobs. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
And he has missed 3 field goals, so he's 8 for 11. It's not like he's only made half.
He's right on the line right now, I think, Tyler Bass. I haven't lost total confidence in him, but man, you're kind of crossing your fingers every time he lines up. So he literally is like 2 misses away from losing his job. Or if he rattles off his next 4 or 5 in a row, then probably we stop talking about it and thinking about it. But he is right on that line right now, and poor guy, man, it's a lot of pressure.
And then if they do work out a kicker this week, what do you think? That definitely puts more pressure on him, knowing that, oh, wow, there's a guy that's working out. I might lose my job as soon as this weekend.
Right.
So if that is the case, I'd be even more worried this Sunday against Tennessee, with him kicking the ball, even though, thank God, the Titans' offense has been bad.
The thing I'll say, and I know it's a little bit of, no pun intended here, apples to oranges and to some degree. Like watching Syracuse Saturday night, it's very apparent that their lack of having confidence in their kicker is affecting them in a negative way when it comes to decision making in the red zone, for example.
Yeah, I don't
And
think that's the case with the Bills.
Correct, but something you said though, Jim, is very true though. Like we're a miss or two away from it potentially happening with the Bills.
Right.
You know, where it should be like, you know, when you get to that 40-yard range, that is a gimme. That's even a gimme in like most college cases now. But now you have to rethink it because would you rather go for it, you know, go and miss the 3, or would you rather maybe try and go for it on that 4th and 4, even though it's kind of throwing smartness to the wind? You know, for a guy who put the Bills on his back numerous times before, I hate that I'm putting him in this position, but it legitimately is, in my mind, a do or die spot for Tyler Bass as it stands right now.
Yeah, his next few kicks in the next game are going to determine whether, you know, he's going to be their guy going forward, or if they're going to, if this is going to be a serious issue that needs to be addressed. And so hopefully the weather's good at home against Tennessee on Sunday. I think it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Looking like a mid-60s, low wind type of day. Still
Quite the opposite of what we got right now.
5 or 6 days away, but hopefully he'll redeem himself against the Titans.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of, I think, a good spot collectively for the Bills anyway. Not that any game, as we've said, in the NFL is easy, but, you know, Tennessee is very apparent. This season's just not going to be one for them to plan for the present, definitely a plan for the future type year.
Their next 4 games heading into the bye week after 5, they have 5 games before their bye week. And the next 4 are all super winnable. Bills will be heavy favorites in almost all of them except for maybe 2 weeks from now at Seattle. That's a tough game that the Bills probably are still going to be favored in.
Yeah, Indy might be one as well, but I don't.
Come on.
The defense more than anything there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it.
I mean, I don't.
I mean, look, in the NFL, every week is a chance to lose a game, but you know, Tennessee, Miami at home, at Indianapolis, and then like at Seattle. If they should at the very least win 3 or 4 of those games, and that would put them at 7-3.
Yeah.
Heading into a game at home against Kansas City on November 17th, and then they have their bye week. So they're set up now to, you know, further solidify their position as the AFC East champions and a home field contender for the AFC playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The early bet window here, Bills by 8.5 right now is the line. So
Is Shakir going to be back at 100%? Because if it is, I'll take the Bills. If not, I don't think the Bills can beat anybody by 8.
yeah, I don't know. Let me pull up the injury report here really quick. I mean, I think an also key part here is that we haven't really mentioned a ton. We mentioned it kind of once. And that was pretty much it. Was James Cook, right? Reports really were.
Well, no, Ed Oliver still.
Well,
Second
right.
straight starter on the defensive line. I mean, that is a loss. But yeah, Taylor Rapp returned. Shakir returned. Who was the other one? Taron Johnson. But yeah, there was no injuries during the game, which is amazing.
Bernard was on the field more too yesterday.
Yep. And I guess Von Miller's still with a suspension, but other than that, yeah, I mean, it's been clean. It seems like this is the first week they've had a clean report.
They just need Shakir to be. He obviously wasn't 100% last night.
Right. Yeah.
They need him to be 100% on the field every offensive snap.
He was only on the field 38% of the snaps, and he was only targeted twice, and he caught both of the balls that he was targeted.
And which is saying something, because he was. I don't want to turn this into the Khalil Shakir show, but I really do feel like he's like the missing part of this offense. And last night out there at probably 70% maybe he was able to get open. And you saw when he caught the ball too that he wasn't like running like normal. Hopefully 100% against Tennessee, and I think you'll see, you know, this offense open up again a little bit.
Yeah, because when he's on the field, the defense are going to start realizing, like, this is a guy we have to really defend well, and then it should open space for the other guys. I mean, Keon Coleman has to be better. Yeah. create space. I know that was a problem when they drafted him. People are talking about, he doesn't get open. He's not very fast, but he can still, get down the field of, 5-10 yards and get open. I mean, you're an NFL wide receiver. Do it. And stop giving so many targets to Mac Hollins. It's just, why? You don't need to. Start using your tight ends more. Look at Dawson Knox when he was targeted last night. What, did he make every
Touchdown.
catch?
Yeah.
Yeah, so start using your tight ends, and just do different things. Stop being so predictable as well, and maybe that'll open up stuff. I think play calling can definitely be better. So we'll see what happens. But the thing is, Tennessee's so bad that they're going to go in and probably blow out Tennessee, and we're going to be like, oh, they're fine again. And then the next week's going to come. I don't know who they
At
play.
Seattle.
Yeah, and then we're going to be like, oh, they're back to offensive problems. So it's like,
Or they just blow through this part of their schedule, win their next 4 games easily, and then have that big game against Kansas City at home, which they should win that as well, honestly.
Yeah.
And then you got your bye week, and in a perfect world, they would be 9-2 heading into the bye week, and that's just awesome. 9-2 heading into the bye week with 6 games remaining in the regular season.
and a 4-2 start. I mean, based on the 6 games that we saw, before week 1, I would take it. I know the Texans game, if they just were a little better on offense, they could have, pulled that game out. But I guess, you should be happy 4-2.
Yeah.
Especially with the preseason predictions too. Everyone thought the Jets were just gonna destroy the division, and I mean, even the Dolphins. I know Tua got hurt, but this has gone completely opposite of what everyone I think would have thought. Based on
Yeah, the
6 weeks
AFC
in.
is might be the worst division in football.
Yeah, the NFC.
Well,
AFC East, I mean, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, who's
There's
better?
8. How about this?
The AFC South is pretty rough.
There's 8 4-2 teams, but only 3 of them are in the AFC. That just shows the NFC is better.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of times we're talking about where the Bills stand right now, and I just don't see them as a Super Bowl contender yet.
And the Steelers got to be the most overrated 4-2 team ever, right? I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. I mean, their defense is really good, but you can't score enough to beat Justin Fields right now. The guy hasn't been impressive at all. And how about Najee Harris? Finally found the end zone last week. I know we're off topic a little bit.
First 100-yard game of the year.
Yeah, finally found
Week
the end
6.
zone. I mean, they just don't score. I mean, I think they're a really bad 4-2 team. But
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I mean, the Bills obviously are one of the best teams in the AFC, but like you say, what is that saying? I mean, are they going to be able to line up against San Francisco team? Well, we'll find out on December 1st when they host San Francisco.
and the Chiefs' 5-0 record doesn't represent what they are. We've talked
Right.
about it. They've been extremely lucky. The bounces have gone their way, and they're
A lot of
just
injuries as well that they've been able to somehow still win.
and they're good at winning those close games. I mean, they find ways, and that's all that matters. But I'm just saying, going up against them, I wouldn't feel like, oh my God, they're gonna get blown out, or I don't think they can win. I definitely think the Bills could beat them.
Yeah, I don't, and I also don't think that any team right now is like scared of the Bills.
Yeah,
I think a key thing here, I'm just looking at the standings, right? There's always point differential.
yeah. The Bills have the best in the AFC.
They're at 39.
Yeah,
and
but
then-
those from how about the last 3 weeks? Probably the worst.
Yeah, the 35
True.
to 10 killed them.
True, but I'm-
23-10 to Houston.
yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, Houston's point differential at 5-1 is only 8. That not great by any means.
23-20 against Houston, so that's only a -3 difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
23-10. You talking about the Bills?
Yeah, wasn't it 23-20 against the Texans? Didn't the Bills lose 23-20?
23-10, I thought.
Maybe
I have it wrong.
Survey says 23-20.
Yeah, Kyle's always right.
But yeah, I do agree that the last 3 weeks haven't represented the differential, but still, their offense, you're worried about their offense the last 3 weeks. That's what's killing the differential. I mean, they're not scoring. And up even last night, 23 points. Yeah, that's good, but look at all the opportunities they had. They could have scored a lot more.
There's also first drive, they just ran it down their throats right into the end zone. They didn't have another offensive drive that was that dominant on the ground the rest of the game. And it doesn't seem like they went with, like, for instance, I think the second drive of the game, they started out with a pass after they just literally handed the ball off and ran it down the entire field in their first drive. And I've sat here before and said they're too run heavy. They need to open it up a little bit. But last night I thought, geez, why didn't they stick with the run a little longer than that first drive.
Yeah, there was just wide open gaps. They weren't defending. It kind of reminded me of the Miami game. They could just run where they wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they've had a couple games this year where they won games based on running the ball, which is crazy. A few years ago we would have been like, what? Just keep passing it.
Right.
But yeah, here we are.
Sounds like we're all pretty much in lockstep, I'd say, this week in terms of outcome for the game, I'm assuming, right? Bills won. So
Yeah.
that's the vibe
I thought they were going to lose, so a win's a win. Win's a good win. I thought this was a game they were going to lose. They
Well, I was talking for against Tennessee, but
Oh, Tennessee, yeah, they better win that game, right? They better win that game.
Yeah, but it's weird. The Titans, 3 of their 5 games this year have been one-score games. I know the opponents aren't great. The Bears being one, Jets, Packers. Their only wins against the Dolphins, of course. Who was starting that game? It was before Tyler Huntley. Who was the
Skylar
quarterback?
Thompson.
Yep, Skylar Thompson. And then the Colts. They just played the Colts tough, but I'm not high on the Colts anyway. But yeah, I think this will be a double-digit win, honestly.
Yeah, I'd like to see the offense open up a little bit and like you say, cruise to victory.
Will Levis, 7 interceptions in 5 games. How about Tony Pollard leading their team in receiving yards?
yeah.
Or receptions, sorry, I misspoke there. Receptions. Tony Pollard, a running back, has more receptions than freaking Calvin Ridley. What?
Yeah.
And didn't they give him that 4-year extension not too long ago? So he's under contract too. So it's wild. And he was complaining in his post game the other day. So yeah, the Titans are not in a good spot right now. So
Yeah,
they should dominate.
It's just one of those things where you look at, like DeAndre Hopkins is their leading receiver technically, but I mean, his numbers through
Aren't the Andrew Hopkins numbers?
5 games, it's stuff that he was putting up as like a 2-game stretch maybe. 14 receptions for 175 yards and a single touchdown through 5 games. Look, I get it. He ain't what he was, but like that's also not where he should be by any means.
Well, remember too, the past couple of years, the Titans have been a tough team.
Yeah.
A team that doesn't give up, a team that is in every game, and really has overachieved. And then they got rid of Mike Vrabel, and now that, so I think they've taken a big step back. Not that I'm a huge Vrabel fan, but I thought that team always played above their potential. And without Vrabel, it's not the same Titans team of the past couple of years.
Yeah, see, Calvin Ridley is under a 4-year deal. He's on a free agent until 2028, and he's already miserable. He was literally swearing in his press conference Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, trade him to the Bills.
So yeah, they do have weapons. So like we just mentioned, and even Tyler Boyd, he's 13 catches for over 100 yards.
Yeah.
So
Tajay Spears is backing up
Well,
Pollard.
He's out though.
at what
is he?
point do we start saying this is a quarterback problem? The quarterback's not getting them the ball.
Right.
So
Man, Will Levis isn't one you're known
he
as a
had a
gunslinger.
few good games last year, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is the future."
Yeah, we should call him. My prediction, I'm assuming Shakir is going to be at or very close to 100% by the time that game kicks off next week. Good weather. Bills 34, Titans 17.
Damn it.
What, you don't like that
I
one?
had 35-17 Bills.
Oh, well, there you go. Glad to see we're on the same
I
page.
got 31-16 Bills.
We're all in the same neighborhood. I mean,
Wrote this down 1 o'clock this morning.
oh wow.
Get my notes all done, and it's like 31-16. That was
Well, you were flying high last night.
that was a good night.
It was a good night for New York sports fans, unless you're a Jets fan, of course.
Yeah, New Jersey there, so it's whatever. Did the Rangers win?
They did.
So I mean, hey,
The Devils won.
big. It's a big
Who
night.
was the only team that lost? There was a team. Oh, the Jets.
Jets lost.
Yeah.
Mets and Yankees won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just quickly for baseball, I think it's going to be Yankees Dodgers.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I just wish it wouldn't be.
You want to see Yankees Mets?
Yeah. I although I think the ratings and the atmosphere in LA and New York would be incredible, but I just think Mets Yankees, like let's do that one.
Yeah, I saw it once in '94. I think it was '94, wasn't it? Or not? No, 2004. 2000.
2000.
2000. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That was the last time the Yankees and Mets won a playoff game on the same day, 2000. I'll admit this, I wasn't even born.
Oh, really?
The last time they won on the same day, Mets and
Yeah.
Yankees.
Clemens, was that the Clemens Piazza thing?
Yeah.
But that was the Subway Series.
Yep.
That wasn't a regular season game.
No.
Yeah. No, it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome. It would be cool to see again. But another World Series I also remember, which if you want to talk about not being born, I remember Yankees-Dodgers in like 1981, was it?
That'll be the last time they faced off against each other in the World Series.
Yeah, and so given the fact that the Dodgers used to be the Brooklyn Dodgers and all that, it's
Suppose it goes back to an original Subway Series there, potentially.
yeah, and it would be Major League Baseball. That's what they want to see, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm guessing Fox wouldn't care if it was New York versus New York.
I, don't know,
or
I
New
saw
York versus
something where
LA.
they'd be commanding not quite Super Bowl ad rates, but if it got to a Game 7, Yankees Dodgers, it would be probably the biggest Major League Baseball broadcast of the last 10 years.
Yeah, and I can't imagine the nerves going into that game
I know it.
all day, just thinking about like this is make or break
Yeah,
for a World Series, and the Yankees haven't won since 2009, where the Dodgers have won more recently. So, yeah, I'm excited for the next couple of weeks. We're gonna find out the World Series winner in 2 weeks?
a lot of good baseball games.
Yeah.
So, but
A
this
lot
is a
of
Bills.
good football games.
This is a Bills.
Except for
podcast.
Thursday night, I think we got Broncos Saints
Yeah.
He can throw the records out.
and another London game, Patriots
Peyton,
Jaguars.
Sean Payton against his old franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Bo Nix, throwing for 80 yards.
Rattler, what's the
Spencer Rattler, yeah.
Oh, I forgot
Rattler.
he's starting
The
to.
legend of South Carolina, the Cox. How about it? Shane Beamer's protege. Also former Oklahoma Sooner, I suppose, but things aren't coming up their way. So, all right, we'll get out of there on that note. How about it, guys? So, hopefully, we'll come back and just a tiny programming note. We'll be back at it usually on our normal time next Monday at 10 a.m. since it's a Sunday game.
one last thing before we go? Bills are now 4-2 in 7 of their last 8 seasons. It's a good spot to be as a Bills fan. Whether I know Bills fans want a Super Bowl, but it's nice to have a team that you can always count on rooting for deep into the season.
That's true.
Playoff contenders. Josh Allen is 18-7 in primetime games now. That's great. We got San Francisco. They're one more primetime game for the Bills. That's December 1st against San Francisco. And the Bills are 21-5 against AFC East opponents since 2020, which is the best in the NFL for a team's divisional record. So
7-2 against the Jets. I mean, we do think the Jets play them tough and have, handing them losses, but only 2 in 4 years.
yeah, well, they've both been in. This is the first time that the Bills have won in New York since 2021, are in New York City or New Jersey City or whatever the heck. but yeah, no, I mean, you look at those numbers that I just rattled off, you look at where they stand now, and Bills fans should be feeling pretty good, but you want to see your team improve as the season goes on. I think the Bills have certainly left the door open to have plenty of room to improve, and so that's going to be the story for me between now and the bye week. Are the Bills going to play better, or are we going to just slog through this and probably win 3 or 4 of these games, but not look dominant like a Super Bowl team?
Or are we going to have another mid-season firing of an offensive coordinator?
I don't think you'll quite see that this year, no matter what. That's just my.
I don't think so either. It was kind of more of a joke.
But you
it didn't happen till November.
You would be amazed the amount of people who probably want that to happen.
Oh, yeah, people want Aaron Boone fired of the Yankees right now while they're in the middle of a World Series run.
Yeah. So
A lot of people hate Aaron Boone.
people are dumb. Sorry, people. We are. All right, let's get out here on that note. Like I said, 10 a.m. next Monday, back to our usual time since the Bills are back on a Sunday. Guys, have a great week. Hopefully we get to do this again as a Victory Monday celebration. And we'll be, like I said, back at Monday, 10 a.m. Like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff for us here at FingerLakes1.com. You can find Bills Weekly and all our other podcasts on YouTube, FingerLakes1.com, major podcasting platforms like Spotify and Amazon Music. Let's go Buffalo.